I spend the run-up to Passover in a state of indecision as to which Italian dessert plate to buy. If I decide to wear a black t-shirt, I change out of navy underwear. I have very specific opinions about the scents of hand soap. In the last 3 months, I have seen Wicked, Sunset Boulevard, and Oh Mary on Broadway. I know a recipe for a delicious almond lemon cake by heart. I am not a bro. Let's get into it. What a week! Despite the Supreme Court's ruling that the U.S. must facilitate the return of wrongfully deported immigrant Kilmar Ábrego García, the Trump administration has no intention of doing so. Hey, shout out to elder millennials out there, a constitutional crisis and a midlife crisis at the same time. You deserve that motorcycle and/or Le Creuset Dutch oven. Yeah. The Justice Department argued that seeking his return would violate separation of powers by forcing the executive branch's hand in foreign policy, but ignoring a Supreme Court order, amazing for the separation of powers. While meeting with Trump in the White House, Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele also dismissed the idea of Ábrego Garcia's return.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
It's obviously ridiculous. He doesn't need to smuggle anyone anywhere. Just open the doors, let the man walk out. He can buy a ticket. Now, Trump is claiming he's powerless to get someone back from El Salvador. Bukele is claiming he's powerless to send someone back to the United States. We now go live to a shot of Franz Kafka's grave, where visitors have recently heard strange emanations from beneath the tombstone.
Oh, brother.
Stupid. But here's the twist. Democrats decided to do something. I know. A group of Democrats, led by Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, said they would go to El Salvador to seek Ábrego Garcia's release. More like Chris Van Hollen ass. Great job, Chris. The Department of Homeland Security tweeted out a protective order that Ábrego Garcia's wife once sought against him for domestic violence, writing, "This MS-13 gang member is not a sympathetic figure." They still have provided no evidence that Ábrego Garcia was an MS-13. Also, we're not fighting for this person because he's a sympathetic figure. Nobody deserves a life sentence without due process, except for people who don't inch into the intersection when making a left. Two of us get to go to the gulag with you. Also, when the third car goes long after the light is turned red, to the gulag with you. Not one car, not 3 cars, 2 cars. 2 cars get to go. On Thursday, Senator Van Hollen was denied entry to CCOT, the mega prison, even though Republican Congressman Jason Smith of Missouri and Riley Moore of West Virginia were allowed to tour the facility just this Monday. Here's Congressman Riley Moore posing in front of a cell filled with inmates. And now let's do a silly one. In other attacks on basic freedoms, last Friday... Fuck. Last Friday, the Trump administration issued a set of demands to Harvard University requiring the school to report foreign students to federal authorities for conduct violations, to end all DEI initiatives, to exert greater control over student groups, to hire more conservative faculty, and to accept Jon Lovett in 1999. But on Monday, Harvard became the first university to outright reject the Trump administration's demands, calling them illegal. Never would have thought Harvard had it in them, based purely on the people I know who went to Harvard. Said Harvard President Alan Garber in a statement, "No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue." Way to go, Harvard, he said, while jamming a pencil into his thigh. In their response, the Trump administration accused Harvard of anti-Semitism, demanding meaningful change in exchange for taxpayer funding. I would never presume to speak for all Jewish people, but on behalf of the cool Jews, boo! Cool Jews. The White House then froze over $2.2 billion in federal funding to the university and threatened Harvard's tax-exempt status. Just pure thuggery, or as they call it at Harvard, Cornell behavior. This is good news. As difficult and costly as it might be to stand up to Trump, we already know by now what happens when you give in to his demands. Best case scenario, you slowly turn into this. For those of you at home, that was a hilarious photo of Rudy Giuliani's drooling hair dye, which you can see in the video version of this podcast available on YouTube at Love It or Leave It Podcast. Yeah, sure. Caving doesn't protect you from further abuse by Trump. Last month, Columbia bent the knee after Trump threatened to yank $400 million in federal funding. That classic New York City spirit. Hey, I'm walking here with your generous permission, Mr. President. The university's trustees met with federal officials and agreed to demands including banning masks, cracking down on campus protests, and reviewing the curriculum and admissions for its Center for Middle Eastern Studies. They let the federal government dictate how the school runs a specific academic department, when that is the job for a very smart and deeply annoying person who liked college so much they never left. In response to Columbia's weaselly behavior, Trump didn't say, thanks for rolling over, guys. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump is currently pursuing a consent decree, an agreement that would have the Trump administration and Columbia locked in a legal battle over the terms of their agreement potentially for years. Oh, you thought giving the bully your lunch money would make them leave you alone? No, bitch. He blew it all at McDonald's and on shoe lifts. He will see you tomorrow, and this time he wants hash browns. So Columbia's torched his reputation for nothing, and that's an important lesson for all of us because Trump's attack on academic freedom is part of a broader coordinated assault on the right to dissent, to inform the public, and to challenge the government in court. Trump signed executive orders targeting 2 former administration officials for the crime of being critical of Trump and refusing to endorse election lies. A cool detail in your Hinge profile, but a waking nightmare in your actual life. ICE is grabbing students off the street for co-signing op-eds, as we saw in the case of Rumeysa Ozturk. On the legal front, 9 law firms agreed to a deal which would provide almost $1 billion in pro bono legal services. Those firms believed the pro bono work was for uncontroversial causes they already supported, like protecting veterans and making sure every American gets 3 servings of forever chemicals a day. But those firms are in for a rude awakening. According to the New York Times, Trump believes these services might include working for DOJ, aiding the Justice Department, or representing Trump officials themselves if they're investigated. Trump's spokesperson also referred to the agreements as binding. So it turns out this Faustian bargain had some drawbacks. It didn't work out perfectly. It's a shame that this is the first time anyone has had to imagine what happens if you sell your soul to get out of a jam. We now go live to the grave of Elizabethan playwright Christopher Marlowe.
Good grief.
Guess these lawyers missed Dr. Faustus, Damn Yankees, The Devil's Advocate, Bedazzled, or an excellent episode of The Twilight Zone with Burgess Meredith called Printer's Devil, which is one of several Twilight Zone episodes with a Faustian bargain. It's a great episode with Burgess Meredith. He's got that penguin vibe, but he plays it down. I actually also think that episode of The Twilight Zone served as an inspiration for the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies. Just my own theory. One law firm that surrendered, Wilkie, Farr & Gallagher, recently hired a new lawyer, Doug Emhoff, husband of Kamala Harris, who said he opposed the firm's decision but was overruled. Small comfort, Doug, when you're providing free legal services to the QAnon shaman after he throws pig's blood on the hood of Jamie Raskin's Chevy Volt. Real quick, what if we all woke up and Kamala was president and the biggest news of the day was that she was in hot water for bringing her Glock to the Easter egg roll? Wouldn't that be nice? Let's all wake up. Let's all wake up right now. Wake up. Never works. Nothing. But 4 firms specifically targeted by executive orders have all fought in court, and they're winning. Judges are halting these brazenly unconstitutional orders by the president. It's fun that the lawyers Trump can't get are, by definition, the ones who are good at winning in court. It's like trying to steal a champion racehorse by chasing after one in flip-flops. Just this Tuesday, a judge blocked the executive order against the firm Sussman Godfrey, which successfully went after Fox News for lying about the election, saying the order was driven by the president's personal vendetta. Said the judge, the framers of our Constitution would see this as a shocking abuse of power. We now go live to the grave of Benjamin Franklin.
I wish I was in France having sex with an old duchess. I mean, geez Louise.
Okay. As that was the third one, that concludes the grave thing that we did this week. Love It or Leave It is brought to you by Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Planned Parenthood is the most trusted name in sexual and reproductive health and the largest sex educator in the country. Planned Parenthood believes everyone deserves medically accurate, unbiased care so people can make their own informed health decisions. And on top of that, every day, Planned Parenthood organizations are fighting for common sense policies that keep personal healthcare decisions between patients and their doctors, not unqualified lawmakers. Nearly 80% of Americans want that. The attacks on Planned Parenthood, our healthcare, our basic rights, they just don't stop. But you know what else doesn't stop? Planned Parenthood. The amazing staff and volunteers at nonprofit Planned Parenthood health centers across the country do whatever they can to provide high-quality, affordable care to 2 million annual patients. No matter what nonsense some people in power try to pull, you can help. Donate to support Planned Parenthood at plannedparenthood.org/defend. That's plannedparenthood.org/defend. The same lesson on what happens when you capitulate applies to the attacks on the free press. CBS's parent company, Paramount Global, is reportedly in talks to settle with Trump after he launched a completely frivolous $20 billion lawsuit against 60 Minutes for their pre-election interview of Kamala Harris. This follows Disney's embarrassing $16 million settlement with Trump in a case against ABC News that the famously tough lawyers at Disney could have fought and won. But being willing to settle hasn't saved Paramount from Trump's rage. On Sunday, Trump said that the FCC chairman Brendan Carr should target 60 Minutes for their unlawful and illegal behavior and strip them of their broadcast license. And in case you haven't seen him yet, here's FCC Chair Brendan Carr wearing his hideous golden brooch of Donald Trump's fucking face, which he received during Trump's annual Diva Boots the House Down crony convention. I've never seen a more clearly cursed object. A generation from now, scientists will be burying this brooch in a lead coffin and sealing it with concrete like a body from Chernobyl. We talked about this on Pod Save America. Here's a headline about me shitting on said brooch earlier this week. Obama podbro rips MAGA sycophant for wearing Trump drag. It's a little more complicated than that, obviously, because Trump walks around every day wearing Trump drag. I have to ask Bob about this. There are layers to drag here, something a Columbia student could write a thesis about if they hadn't just agreed to turn their gender studies department into a conversion therapy center / gun range. By the way, I'm 42 years old. My co-hosts are in their 40s. I spend the run-up to Passover in a state of indecision as to which Italian dessert plate to buy. If I decide to wear a black t-shirt, I change out of navy underwear. I have very specific opinions about the scents of hand soap. In the last 3 months, I have seen Wicked, Sunset Boulevard, and Oh Mary on Broadway. I know a recipe for a delicious almond lemon cake by heart. I am not a bro. How many cocks does a guy have to suck to stop being called a bro? All right. Very good. Very good. On Monday, MIT joined Princeton, Brown, Caltech, and the University of Illinois, among others, in suing the Department of Energy for slashing research funding. There is a chance that Brown University got swept up on all this by accident. When Trump was asking which foreign students to target, he said the brown ones. So probably just a misunderstanding, that's all. The president of Princeton said in a statement, Harvard's objections to the letter it received are rooted in the American tradition of liberty, a tradition essential to our country's universities. Good point, Princeton, he said, as the bile slowly rose in his throat. Indiana University started a push for the Big Ten to form a mutual defense pact for when they inevitably start being targeted. You know, things are bad when we're doing NATO, but for Midwestern colleges. What if this ends with Sparty the Spartan and Biff the Wolverine kissing? Kiss, 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 kiss. I'm not a bro. I had to Google the mascots. Point is, fighting is the only way. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to freeze your federal funding and threaten your broadcast license. There's only one thing to do, and it's to tell that mouse to go fuck itself. It brings me no pleasure to say that we are in common cause with the ultra-wealthy, feckless lawyers of corporate law firms and trustees of elite colleges and the boardrooms of multinational media companies. But we are, whether they know it or admit it. And that's clarifying. That could even be inspiring if we let it. We are all in this together now, whether we like it or not. And for those who don't yet accept that, we have to prove how powerful we are too. Columbia was more afraid of Trump than their students, faculty, and alumni. These law firms were more afraid of Trump than of their staff and clients. Disney was more afraid of Trump than of their reporters and producers and their audience. That has to change, and it has to change quickly, because all of us together are far more powerful than Trump will ever be. If Trump picks off his enemies one by one, he wins. If he can't, he loses. It's that simple. And if I can speak positively of Harvard University, a blight on this nation, a school that rejected me twice, anything is possible. All right. Sure. On Monday, Vice President JD Vance tried to lift up the college football playoffs national championship trophy during an event at the White House, but did not succeed. So good. Here's what makes this work comedically. He's so incredibly careful. He really takes his time trying to get a good grip. He does his absolute best, and it all falls apart anyway. A trained French clown couldn't have done this funnier. I love that as hard as he tries to fight it, JD Vance can't stop his essence from coming out. Like, this is his essence. Like, remember when he went to that donut store and he was like, I would like donut, please. And he just fucking sucked the life out of the room. Like, the man is the vice president of the United States, but his essence is unchanged. And I think that's beautiful. And I think whatever it is, whatever that space between how he imagines himself or how he wants to be perceived and what's actually inside of him, that space is what makes his movement so strange. He's not in touch with his fucking body. It's awesome. It's awesome. Speaking of clowns, a Fox News host on Wednesday related this charming anecdote about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Okay, Pete Hegseth would have a bagel with cream cheese. He would drop it, it would land upside down, the cream cheese on the floor, and he would pick it up. I'm like, wait, is there any hair on there? Oh, no. It is so gross, and he would just pop it in his mouth.
There's also a rumor that Pete did not wash his hands after
he said that one time on air.
It seems Pete Hegseth is the victim of a smear campaign. I really don't like equating eating off the floor with not washing your hands after the bathroom. Those are very different. That's not to say there isn't a clear rule that Hegseth is breaking about dropping food on the floor. If it's dry, let it fly. If it's wet, you will regret. I eat food off the floor. You want to judge me? You fucking judges? Got your robes and gavels ready to judge me? I'll eat food off the floor. I ate fucking beef jerky off the floor today. I was opening one of those beef chomps. You know, it's basically pellets for people that work in an office. You know what I'm talking about? Chomps. They're everywhere. Chomps. It's fucking protein, you know, because we speak about our macros now as if that's the problem. Like, we're getting so specific. Bullshit. I was opening it, and I don't like touching the chomps because they're very beefy, and they're beefy. And so I was trying to open it carefully, flies out onto the floor. I was in a conversation with Kennedy at the time. Pick it off the ground, I eat it. I'm fucking fine. High traffic area, a lot of dogs. I don't care because it's dry. It's fine. If it's wet, no, that's absorbing. That's pulling it up. That's done. That's fucking done. You drop a fucking cookie on the floor, dry cookie, dry floor. You're throwing it in the garbage? Really? Wow. To live with that kind of fucking privilege. Being grossed out is a form of privilege. Think about something that grosses you out. That's somebody's job. There's not a thing that grosses you out in this world that there's not somebody who is paid every day to put their hand in that thing. I'm a little bit of a bro. Speaking of dangerous hobbies, Blue Origin's first all-female flight with Gayle King and Katy Perry aboard lifted off on Monday and returned safely from the technical edge of space about 10 minutes later. It's a woman's world, and we're lucky to be rimming on it. I don't know. There's a fair amount of backlash, and not just from anonymous internet trolls, but even from celebrities like Olivia Munn, who said, "What's the point? Is it historic that you guys are going on a ride?" Space exploration was to further our knowledge and to help mankind. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here? Really well said. Here's Emily Ratajkowski.
That space mission this morning, that's end time shit. Like, this is beyond parody. Saying that you care about Mother Earth and it's about Mother Earth and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that's single-handedly destroying the planet. Look at the state of the world and think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what? For what was the marketing there? And then to try to make it like, I'm disgusted, literally, I'm disgusted.
Yeah. A day later, King responded to the backlash.
Time one of those goes up, you get some information that can be used for something else. So I wish people would do more due diligence. And then my question is, have y'all been to space? Have you been to space? Go to space or go to Blue Origin and see what they do and how they do, and then come back and say, this is a terrible thing.
I'd love to go, but the first question on the Blue Origin application is, are you Gayle King? And the second question is, are you willing to have sex with Jeff Bezos? And I am, but that's not the point. I want to go to space. It's 11 minutes, and then you get to go to space. In other news, Florida woman Kimberly Schlopper, has been arrested for buying and selling human bones on Facebook Marketplace. Her defense, she didn't know it was illegal. Now for a game we call Can You Spell Kimberly? I have $100 right here. Sir, can you spell Kimberly?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
My dyslexic ass. K-I-M.
Wrong. Thank you for playing. Can you spell Kimberly? It's spelled K-Y-M-B-E-R-L-E-E. Florida, baby. Bum, bum, ba-da. Residents of a small Michigan town on Sunday lined up in a human change to help a bookshop move its inventory to a new storefront a block away, one book at a time. Said one guy trying to get to work, what the fuck is this shit? Personally, I don't think there was any good reason for them to arrange a human centipede style. But the books have a new home, and that's all that matters. Look, this is just a sweet story about a small town coming together, so there's no need to crunch the numbers and get all analytical about it. According to the report, the book brigade was about 300 people, and moving 9,100 books took just under 2 hours. So that's 120 minutes, which makes it 36,000 people minutes to move 9,100 books, which means that it was about 4 minutes of effort per person per book. The walk from the old location at 108 East Middle Street to its new location on 119 South Main Street is about 400 feet, as I've mapped out here. So the round trip is 800 feet. 800 feet in 4 minutes comes out to a little over 2 miles per hour, a very chill pace to walk one book at a time. But if you were to do around 30 books, as each person would have to do, you're walking 4.5 miles. You're getting your steps in, all right? And that would be nice because it would be people and not books going for a little bit of a walk, which we need. But if each person took 2 books, which seems like a pretty reasonable baseline, each volunteer would end up walking about 2 miles, and the whole transfer would have been done in under an hour. This just in, I'm a virgin again. Damn it. My virginity is returned. And finally, 2 Belgian teens were arrested for smuggling 5,000 ants out of Kenya. My God, please think of the uncles. Nah, it was bugs. It was bugs. As of this recording, the Belgians have been charged with second-degree ants in the pants. That's it. All right.
It's love it or leave it.